Hey, good morning. It's Joel Navarro on AM 790 KXXX. It's time for a new feature called Coffee and a Chat, where we sit back and we talk to some industry music leaders. We talk to people who are making a difference in the industry and in the world. And today, you get the honor of being the first guest. I don't know how much an honor it is, but we have who essentially an acclaimed singer, songwriter, producer, author, and artist, and a whole lot more. Her name is Kelly Lang. Good morning, Kelly. Welcome to the broadcast.
What an introduction. Thank you. My head is swelling.
Well, hey, we appreciate you being here. You've done so much in the world of music. And let's start off real quick. You've got a new album out, your current album out, that is called Dragonfly. It's out available now. You've got a music video for I Think It's Jesus, which is a tremendous song. Let's talk a little bit about this album that you have and the inspiration for it.
Well, I went to a Brooks and Dunn concert last year with my daughter, and while I was there, I was so surprised that I got so emotionally charged by when Ronnie and Kix Brooks sang I Believe. And I thought, oh my goodness, I've got chills, I've got a lump in my throat, and I realized I wasn't the only one. And everybody else around me was crying, and I thought, what is that universal thing that us as all humans feel? Whether we hear a song that gives us chills or whatever, then I started thinking, a lot of times you see numbers in sequins and you see feather where there's no birds or anything, and possibly thinking about a loved one, we might all see a cardinal, and it really makes us feel that feeling of comfort. It's all kind of a universal connection that we all have if we open our hearts and minds to that. So that's where the song I Think It's Jesus came from, and I had also written and recorded a song last October in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month called Life Sentence. So that was kind of the beginning of this project. I didn't even realize I was going to do an album, but it all started connecting the dots for an inspirational type project, and here we are. So Dragonfly is the name of the album, and it's also the lead track off of the song too. It's called Dragonfly. And I'm just excited to play it. It's an inspirational, uplifting type of project. And if you're looking for something that's calming and something that kind of gives you food for thought, I think this is your project.
I'll tell you what, we're talking to Kelly Lang. A lot of us don't have the talent to be able to be tremendous singers and songwriters and stuff, but we find if we're going through something, whether it's, you're coming out of a rehab situation, whether you have cancer, whatever it may be in your life, you find a way to really, the thing that's going to soothe you. When you were going through the breast cancer, was singing and songwriting and the music therapy for you?
Oh my goodness, that's an understatement. I was doing a lot of writing at the time when I was going through my breast cancer situation. I was writing with Lori Morgan. We wrote a whole entire album together, so it gave my mind something to focus on other than health, or lack thereof, I should say. And so it was a place of just pausing and putting your thoughts towards something positive, and it gave me something to look forward to. And I believe music is healing. I think music is what feelings sound like. It gives you the opportunity to express yourself in a totally different way than just talking, or even through tears or laughter. So it was very healing for me. It always has been a soft place to fall for me.
We're talking to Kelly Lang on talking about the latest release that's available now, Dragonfly, and some great songs on there. I encourage you to check it out and purchase it. First of all, we'll get to some other stuff, but if people want to check out more about you, they want to get the latest Dragonfly release, maybe get some other merchandise, how can they best reach you?
Well, I'm at kellylang.net. Anything you would like to hear about me, or my book that I wrote called I'm Not Going Anywhere, is on there. But anywhere you Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, anywhere you stream or purchase music, it's out there now. I'm also looking forward to sharing a physical CD with everybody within the month. If you're like me, I like to physically hold my project in hand. And if it were up to me, we would have it on vinyl, too. So I'm hoping to go old school with that.
Absolutely. There's something cool, something about something tangible in your hand. All right, so you've done these really cool things. You've hung out with really cool people. But one of the things that stuck out with me is, when Kenny Rogers was getting inducted to the Country Music Hall of Fame, you had a chance to perform one of the big hits, Islands in the Stream, and you got to do that with Sir Barry Gibb. That had to have been an experience.
It was definitely an experience. He and I have been friends for many years. I think 16 years now. And he's in the rock and roll world. He's not in the country world. And he knew I was more embedded in the country field. So he said, Kelly, please help me out. Can you just come sing with me on this? And I'm like, oh, okay. However, it was the thrill of a lifetime. And he was so nervous. It was really sweet. To be around his legendary country music artists that perhaps I take them for granted, but I see them all the time, and he was so nervous to meet like Bobby Bare and Barbara Mandrell, and I introduced him to Garth Brooks. I thought Garth was going to lose his mind meeting Barry, so that was a thrill for me to see all that go down. But the biggest thrill of the evening, obviously, was watching Kenny smiling and singing along with us. He didn't realize we were going to be performing for him that night, and it was exciting seeing that, and to be able to, in hindsight, know that Kenny's now passed, to have a small part of his legendary career is just amazing.
And it probably is the same thing about Olivia Newton-John. By the way, we're talking to Kelly Lang here on AM 790 KXXX, Coffee and a Chat. So, again, another loss that we all had to deal with, an unfortunate loss of Olivia Newton-John. And on your website, there's some fantastic information where you two did some work together, and you were part of a duets with her as well.
Oh my goodness, yeah! She and I had become friends through Barry, as a matter of fact, and we had a lot in common. We were both breast cancer survivors, both singers, songwriters, both mothers. We had a lot to talk about, and she liked when I would go into the recording studio and record classic tracks, and she had collected all of my albums, and she said, "Hey Kelly, are you going to do any more remakes?" And I said, "Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, I'm recording a few now. Why don't you come in and do one with me?" I was kidding. I didn't think she would take me seriously. And she goes, "Okay, sure. When were you want to sing, and where would we meet?" And I'm like, okay. So we chose Barry's song, "How Can You Mend a Broken Heart," because he's the one that introduced us. It would just be fitting. And when we went into the studio in the Palms recording studio in Las Vegas, she flew in a night early before her residency there at the Flamingo. And that song landed on my album called Throwback. And many years later, I was just thrilled to have a phone call from her and her producer saying they chose our track to be on what now is her last album. It's called Just the Two of Us. And, I'm on there with Mariah Carey and John Travolta and Barry Gibb and Paul Anka, just Don Cicada. There's so many monster, Dolly Parton, monster artists on there. It's just amazing to be a small part of that big project.
That is fantastic. We're talking to Kelly Lang. So here we go. And I did it at the intro here. So you're a singer, songwriter, you're a producer, you're an author, you're a cancer survivor. And then I also said you're an artist. So you've got this thing that you're multi-talented. It's amazing. So you do oil paintings as well, too.
Yeah, I go in spurts. One day I'm an oil painter. The next day I'm not. The next day, it's just, I can't do them all. While I'm doing one thing, I have to do, I have to keep my mind focused on one of the arts. But they're all related. Anytime you have a creative part of your brain, you can generally do a different one. So, yes, I do all of that, but not all well at once.
By the way, so I have a quick question. So when you're hanging out with Barry Gibb and he starts doing his jive talking, you've been friends with him for so long, you probably understand his jive talking.
He's hard to understand. It's really funny. He obviously has a heavy accent, Australian accent. And one day we were eating lunch at the Palm here in Nashville. And I said, "Barry, I love your accent." And he says, "Oh, thank you, darling. I love yours too." And I said, "Well, I don't have an accent." And you know what he said without skipping a beat? And he goes, "Well, bless your heart."
Yeah, there you go. That's Southern. I lived in Nashville back in 2005, and I was doing part-time at WSIX Radio. But I also I was working at the Hilton there where the Palm is, and we used to see some amazing folks in and out of there.
Yes, it was really sweet. When he got his caricature on the wall, my husband TG and I were there to support him. And then when I got my caricature on the wall, he happened to be in town a few years later and ended up being there at my presentation too. So it was really a full circle moment for us.
Well, bless his heart.
Bless his heart.
We've got Kelly Lang. Kelly, I'm going to let you go. But, hey, let's talk about real quick. We want to get people in touch with your website so they can hear your work. You got Dragonfly available now. Check out the music video for I Think It's Jesus. It's absolutely fantastic. And, of course, check out that powerful song, Life Sentence. And it talks about your ordeal with breast cancer. So, again, we appreciate you. We appreciate you being on the show. But, again, let's dish out that website so people can check out your merchandise.
Please go to kellylang.net and check out my book if you're looking for a gift for someone that might be dealing with breast cancer. And it's just a nice gift for a positive, uplifting read.
Kelly Lang, our first guest on which will be hopefully many guests on Coffee and a Chat right here, 790 KXXX.